Alrighty guys, let's go ahead and get started with our notes for today. Today we are going to review the basics of algebra and algebraic expressions. Okay, these notes are on Canvas, but you can also just do them on your own piece of paper if you don't want to go print the notes out. You can just follow along on your own paper because our notes aren't super long today. So let's talk about the basics of algebraic expressions. Recall we can simplify algebraic expressions using an acronym that's abbreviated PEMDAS. PEMDAS is something you probably have heard a lot. You've heard it in middle school and stuff, but this is what PEMDAS stands for. P stands for parentheses. E stands for exponents. M is multiplication. D is division. A is addition, and S is subtraction. So this is the order that we use to simplify expressions. Now, something to keep in mind, if you have multiplication and division in the same problem, you want to simplify left to right. So you want to do multiplication, division. If you have them in the same problem, do them left to right. And we'll see an example like that in our notes today. If you have addition and subtraction in the same problem, you also want to simplify those left to right. Okay, something else to keep in mind. Just like in general, if an expression has a 0 in the bottom, then it is undefined. So if you get an expression that you're supposed to simplify and there's a number up here, but 0 is on the bottom, this is automatically undefined. Okay, let's go ahead and start with our first example. Notice on our first example, we've got stuff going on here. We've got an exponent, we've got these curly brackets, we've got these straight brackets, and we've got parentheses. So I'm going to use PEMDAS to simplify this expression. Starting on the innermost parentheses first. So bring everything down and start with the innermost parentheses. 1 minus 6, that is negative 5. Next, I'm going to keep going with those parentheses. Notice how we have an exponent of negative 5 squared. So let's simplify that. Negative 5 squared is 25 minus 18. And your brackets and your curly bracket at the end. Now, we're going to keep simplifying the innermost parentheses, which is the 25 minus 18. 25 minus 18 is 7. Notice how I'm bringing everything down each step. That way I don't lose track of my signs. Okay, let's keep going with the brackets and the curly brackets on the outside. Next, we're going to do 3 times 7 because that's multiplication. 3 times 7 is 21. Okay, next let's do the curly brackets. Negative 12 plus 21 is positive 9. And last step is the subtraction. 6 minus 9 is negative 3. So that is how you use PEMDAS to simplify an expression. When you have brackets and parentheses and a lot of stuff going on. All right, let's do the next one. Again, I'm going to start with the parentheses. 2 divided by 1/2 times 4. Okay, notice how we have division and multiplication in the same problem. This is what I was referring to, left to right. This is how we're going to simplify the parentheses, left to right. Okay, so 2 divided by 1/2. Well, dividing by a fraction, we already did the notes over this, but keep, change, flip. And put your times 4 at the end. Now I'm going to keep doing the inside parentheses, simplifying that. 2 times 2 times 4 is 16. Next, I'm going to do the exponent using PEMDAS, right? P-E-M-D-A-S. I did parentheses, now I'm going to do the exponent. 1 squared is 1. Next, I'm going to do the multiplication. 1 times 16 is 16. No division, no addition, last is subtraction. 5 minus 16 is negative 11. So that's how you simplify that expression. Again, if you have division and multiplication in the same problem, you want to simplify those left to right. All right, next one, notice this one is a fraction. It also has some different symbols. It has absolute value bars on top here. And on the bottom, we have a square root. So again, there's a lot going on here. With a fraction, it's easiest if you just do the top and then do the bottom. So let's simplify the top. 11 minus 13, the absolute value of 11 minus 13, well, let's just do 11 minus 13. 11 minus 13 is negative 2. Don't forget the absolute value bars. Minus 4 times 2. Then on the bottom, we have the square root of 3 squared minus 3. Well, 3 squared is an exponent, and we can simplify that to 9. Now, keep going on the top. The absolute value, those act as grouping symbols for the purpose of the negative 2. So let's take care of that first. The absolute value of negative 2 is positive 2. Now on the bottom, we have a square root, so let's simplify that. The square root of 9 is 3. Minus 3 is at the bottom. Okay, I took care of parentheses. I don't see the exponents. Let's do the multiplication on top. 4 times 2 is 8. Now the bottom, 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay, notice how the bottom is 0. And we just wrote in our notes that anytime the bottom is 0, the expression is undefined. So we can just stop here. Because the bottom is 0, this is undefined. Okay, that's how you simplify expressions using PEMDAS. Another way, guys, we can simplify expressions besides using PEMDAS is using something called the distributive property. Now, the purpose of the distributive property, what it does is it is to eliminate the parentheses in your expression. So that way you can then simplify it. So on our next example, we have parentheses on the far right side. To eliminate those, I'm going to take what is outside and distribute it in. So what I mean by that is you take what is directly outside of these parentheses and multiply it to everything inside the parentheses. Now you see how this is a minus or a negative sign? You can make that a -1 just so that you have a number to distribute through. Okay, so here we go. We're going to bring everything down. And then distribute that -1 to everything inside the parentheses. -1 times 5 is -5, x to the third. Now it's the next term. -1 times -1x is +1x. And that eliminated the parentheses, so now I can combine the like terms together. 5x cubed and 5x cubed, those both have x cubed, so I can combine the 5's together. But since 5 minus 5 is 0, that eliminates. Next, we'll look to the x squareds. 2x squared plus 2x squared is 4x squared. And last, I'll do this x and the x at the end. Negative 3x plus 1x is negative 2x. So that's the purpose of the distributive property. Next one, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to take what is outside the parentheses and multiply it to what is inside the parentheses. 4 times 10m squared. 4 times 10 is 40, m squared. And 4 times negative 5m is negative 20m. Now I've got another set of parentheses here, so I'm going to do this again. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24m squared. And negative 6 times negative 5 is positive 30m. And you can bring down that plus 7 at the end. All right, now that parentheses are gone, I'm going to combine like terms together. 40m squared minus 24m squared is 16m squared. Negative 20m plus 30m is positive 10m. And last is plus 7. Since this doesn't have anything to combine with itself, I'm just going to keep that plus 7 at the end. So that's the purpose of the distributive property, is to get rid of parentheses so that you can simplify your expression. Okay, last thing, guys, we're going to go over in our notes today is what it means to evaluate an expression. And sometimes you see this on standardized tests, so let's go over it. Evaluate is pretty straightforward. It means to substitute in. So you're going to take what I give you and substitute it into the expression. And we're dealing with expressions, so we're going to deal with letters. On our example, we've got L multiplied by W multiplied by H, and we're told L is equal to 2W, and H is equal to 5W. So, since I'm evaluating this, I'm going to take what I'm given and substitute it in. L is 2W, so I'm going to substitute that in for L. W, I don't know what that is, so I'm just going to leave W where it's at. H, I'm told, is equal to 5W. So I substitute it in. Now I'm going to simplify this. 2 times 5 is 10. W times W times W is W to the third. So that's how you evaluate an expression. All right, let's try one more. Next one is pi r squared plus pi times r times L. And we're told r is 6 and L is 3. So let's go plug those in. Pi, we're going to keep. R is 6. So I'm replacing r with 6 squared plus pi. In place of r is 6. In place of L, I'm told is 3. I substitute it in. Now I'm going to simplify this. 6 squared is 36 pi plus 6 times 3. I can multiply those together to make 18 pi. And those, since they both have a pi, they are like terms. So I can add 18 and 36 to make 54 pi. Alrighty, guys, that's the end of your notes for today. Just review over algebraic expressions and how to simplify and evaluate them. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me. There is a homework assignment, so you can get started on it. And have a great rest of your day.